Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hopefully my mic is working. I think it was flat the first time I tried recording this, so the audio sounded a bit shit. Today's topic is: has 2025 been a slow year for music? So this was a topic I'd come up with a couple months ago. Me and one of my friends, who is the guitarist for the band Pyro Ohio, were talking, and we were saying towards the earlier part of the year how there wasn't a lot of music coming out that either of us were really hyped about or looking forward to. I think towards the early part of the year there may have been like maybe one or two albums that had dropped that I was interested in, but at that point, like, we hadn't had any new music from like Sabaton, Ink, and a few of the other people who were expected to drop this year. But with that being said, as the year of 2025 progressed, we have had a lot more singles, album announcements, albums and EPs and EP announcements dropping towards this tail end of the year. So like 2025 already has obviously seen Sleep Token drop an album, Architects, Bury Tomorrow, Sold Soul, Volbeat, Dance Gavin Dance, Malevolence, Scrim, Suicide Boys, Rico Nasty, Machine Head, 3 Days Grace, Blackbriar, Black Braid, A Day to Remember, Memphis May Fire, Fire Schwans, Teddy Swims, Alien Weaponry, Elven King, Ye Banished Privateers, Ailstorm, Sleep Theory, Landmarks, Attack Attack, Born of Osiris, Lord of the Lost, Within Destruction, Abigail Williams, Exhibit, Ethel Cain, Woe Is Me, Caskets, Acacia Strain, War Kings, Heaven Shall Burn, Signs of the Swarm, Melancholia, Lorna Shore, Starset, Devil Wears Prada, Silverstein, just to name a few. Obviously, again, that's mostly albums that have dropped towards this like early to middle part of 2025. Some of those are still yet to drop or dropping soon. And then obviously you've got EPs. So obviously you've got like Pyro Ohio are dropping a new one soon. There's a couple others who, interestingly, I thought I had EPs listed on here. Here we go, yeah. EPs, I don't have as many noted down. I have Sharia Moore, Duckboy, Snow Wife, President, Wave Painter, who apparently dropped 2 EPs this year. I don't know how you pronounce their name. Is it Sace6? SACE6. And Rev Noir. I need to do a bit more research into who has dropped what recently, because I've been keeping up to track with albums, but EPs really does feel slow at this point. I know a lot of people are probably more so gearing up to drop albums for 2026. Recently, we did see announced for 2026 album drops a brand new album from Rob Zombie called The Great Satan, which that isn't good. Oh, hiccups. That isn't going to drop until February, so that's like late February too. So that's still a while yet. Crystal Lake have also announced an album already for 2026. Again, January of 2026. So we're already seeing that there's some interesting albums getting ready for 2026. So I do think we might see 2026 be a bit more of a better year for releases, or at least releases from bigger bands or bands that people might be waiting to drop on. I was trying to see if I've listed any more. I know currently Ice Nine Kills have dropped 3 different singles, I want to say. maybe 2. So we are probably expecting their album to drop in 2026. I thought it would be this year personally, but I do seem to be wrong on that side of things. But as well, because obviously I started noting down who's dropped what this year, so I have a good idea of albums I want to put in my contendership for album of the year for the end of year review videos. So as it stands, there's a lot more albums that have dropped from, I'd say, April onwards that are making the list, because like I said, from April, was it January to April, there wasn't a great deal of releases that I could say I was particularly hyped for. And again, like I said, EPs, there are so little that I have found that I've enjoyed or noted down as worthy of putting into consideration for the end of year, where I am kind of like torn in two minds with, has this been a good year for music or has it been a slow year? Because in the grand scheme of things, yeah, like the end of the year, like the final half of the year has dropped some bangers and some good albums, but it did take a while for the year to start warming up and people to start dropping good albums. And we are still seeing a few albums trickling out. Obviously, we're in October now, so we still have like 2 more months of the year. For me, realistically, the cut-off point for being in the album of the year and EP of the year consideration kind of comes towards December, so I tend to try and hold off for as long as I can, and then like I normally tend to pre-film my stuff for December, so if you're kind of like not out before November or the end of November, that's kind of my cut-off point, because I tend to batch a video bulk and do at least 3 or 4 videos when I get a chance for December early on, so I don't have to worry about getting videos out. I can just pre-record, set the schedule, and then that way I'm not trying to rush around wrapping people's presents, getting shit done, and then being like, oh fuck, I still need to write an entire script for a video and get it recorded, on top of running a D&D campaign, on top of getting stuff ready for Christmas, because I probably should be getting Christmas presents bought in ready. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing for anyone yet, so yeah. So that's where this sort of like having earlier drops in the year is a better thing, because then I know earlier on who is going to be in my end of year list, because I've already had a long time listening to the album and coming back to it. Because I like, if I can listen to an album or an artist for most of the year, they will probably make it into my top albums. I already know at least 2 that are making it dead ass into my top albums of the year already, with no arguments, and I'm not going to spoil who that is, but what I will say is one of those artists have been my top listened to artist for the last 4 months, with about 100+ songs being listened to, with several hundred hours of their music over the last few months being listened to. And normally they get at least, on my Amazon like monthly wrapped, they're always the top 1, and they normally have at least 2 songs in my top 4 songs of the month for listens. So if that doesn't scream top artist of the year or like top album of the year sort of contendership, I don't know what does. And it's very lucky that this person has dropped an album this year, one that has already got a lot of playtime from me. as well as some of their members also having side projects that have dropped this year, which is always fun. I do like a good side project, especially when it's done well. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think, because I'm intrigued to see if you guys have felt the same way with like releases, if it seems more uh, end of 2025 heavy, or if you guys have sort of felt differently and thought it's been well spaced out, because I'm definitely inclined to say the end of 2025, early 2026, like block is definitely feeling more stacked for me than it was the early 2025 period. But obviously, I know some people might have different artists that have dropped earlier in the year, because that's the other thing you've got to take into account. Because I listen to a lot of metal, folk metal, uh, whatever the fuck you class Suicide Boys as, Scrim I guess would be hip hop. I guess they're hip hop, and stuff like that. These guys do tend to drop later in the year, I guess, a lot of the time. So the more pop based or radio friendly stuff does tend to generalistically, is that even a word, generalistically? Generally drop earlier in the year, because obviously I suppose that gets them in a better stead for like album award contention and things like that. So yeah, there's a lot to take into consideration, but I've definitely felt the early part of the year was sluggish. So with that being said, this has been just a random discussion video, a ramble as you might want to call it. It's not something I scripted, I just wanted to give my thoughts, see what you guys think. The next video in a few days will be a 6-song roundup, which will be episode 37. So that will be getting worked on soon. I have the 6 songs chosen, I just need to listen to them, write it all up. And with that being said, the only thing I have to say is remember to stay safe out there, my friends, okay? And goodbye.